Cool. Alrighty, well, let's get started. Today, thank you everyone for being here. We've got Susan McClain here. She's the VP of Agent Success here at EXP. So she's kind of a big deal. So we got a special guest today.
Where's the big deal? I don't know. Let me know when they arrive.
And then, so Susan, you're also, do you have like a title for what you're leading with the AAC for the Green Division? Is that like do you have a title for that? Or like, is this just like a project you're working on? Or like, can you explain what your role in is that, or in that is?
Yes. So no additional title. So as you guys know, we have a luxury division, right? And we've been able to just do a lot of amazing things with our luxury division. So we were as a company kind of looking at what are some of the other divisions that we might want to explore. And so a green or sustainable division was one of those, as well as land and ranch, sports and entertainment. So a couple other things that we're looking into. So yeah, it's definitely a passion project and something that we're trying to just explore and figure out what the right path is.
Yeah, we're excited. John and I are on the AAC for that. Mm-hmm. I know we're stoked about it. So cool. So tell me a little bit more about your background and like what you like sustainability wise, what your background is, and then we'll get into like what you're working on now.
Yeah. So, sustainability wise, from a background standpoint, I guess it's something that, I've always been passionate about whatever I can do personally, just to, to help everyone and everything around me. Like, I wouldn't even call it like, oh gosh, I'm super passionate about, this part of sustainability or air quality or, just I talk to so many amazing people and they say, this is my passion, right? Water conservation. For me, I guess it's just more of something I've always been interested in. I feel like there's, how do I put this? Like an energy to the planet, right? And so we're all part of that energy. And so I guess personally, I just want to do whatever I can to raise that energy, right? Whether it might be something as simple as, when, especially when my kids were little. So we raised 4 boys, still kind of raising them, but they're older now. But, we just did things like, try to be tree free in our house, right? So as we were buying notebooks for the kids for school supplies, tried to buy like recycled paper notebooks, not, like the virgin trees that were cut down, bamboo and sugar cane, right? So replacing our paper products with bamboo and sugar cane versus, tree products, reducing plastic whenever we possibly could in our household. So raising the 4 kids, sometimes it was hard, because you've got 4 kids and they were 4 active boys and going everywhere and doing everything and running 4 kids to 4 different schools and activities. And my husband and I were both working out of home, out of our, we work from home now, but we were, worked out of the home at that point. And so it was just sometimes like, I just need to grab a paper plate and like put something up. Kids were constantly eating at the house, right? Like 4 teenage boys. There was just never a time with, one of them wasn't eating something. So it was hard as they were littler or harder to, try to be as sustainably minded as, as we are now that they're kind of grown and out doing their own thing. But, I've always just tried to reduce whatever I personally could, from our, the lasting, I guess, effects of us being on this planet. I don't know how else to put that.
Yeah, totally. No, you brought up something I like to call imperfect sustainability. Like your intentions are there and you do the best you can. And especially like when your kids were young, like, so I use reusable paper towels right now, but I don't have any kids. And so throwing those in, doing an extra load of laundry is not that big of a deal to me. But my older sister, she has 2 young boys and she looks at me using reusable paper towels like I have 3 heads. She's like, I just cannot even imagine having any more laundry in my life than I already do having 2 young boys, Mm-hmm. And so it's like you do what you can with where you are in your life, and I think that's important to mention because a lot of people feel very like overwhelmed, with all the things that you could possibly do and like you feel like you're never doing enough. And it's like, no, you just do what you can with where you are and what you have and all the things. So I think that's important. So
there was a quote I had seen, or a meme or something like that. It was years ago, and it's always stuck with me, because sometimes you feel like you're not doing everything that you can, right? I'm not doing everything perfectly, but it was something around the planet doesn't need 1 million people doing sustainable acts perfectly. We need 10 million doing them imperfectly. And so whenever I think about, gosh, we're running 3 kids to 3 different, sporting events and taking another one to a friend's house, and I'm just gonna do a paper plate and do whatever we had to do to survive the day. So I would remember that quote and go, hey, we're doing whatever we can. And yes, it is a little bit easier now that the kids are out of the house, and same, like the reusable paper towels and the wax wraps and the things that versus the plastic baggies and all of that. So we try to do all of that, and then glass containers versus plastic. So the small things, and the really cool thing is now that the kids are older and they're all on their own, at various levels, but they're all on their own. And so I'm seeing the effects of how we raise them. And so, I went to my son's apartment in Chicago. He moved to Chicago a few months ago. And so I see his reusable paper towels, and I'm just like, oh, that's so cool, So, and it was like, we never had a conversation about it. He just has those. So it's really cool.
That's awesome. I love that. John mentioned that when he was the guest as well, that his daughter picked up a lot of everything that him and his wife have kind of, just shown her by example. Mm-hmm. And now she's, sustainability warrior. So it's awesome. I love that.
Yes. Yes.
Well, cool. So you're building something really cool right now. What on earth made you want to build a container home?
So I've always loved unique homes. Like, I've always wanted to live in a house that didn't look like everyone else's. It's just always been my thing. So, there was a show, gosh, years ago, and I don't know the exact name of it, but it was like, Unique Homes or, something like that. And it was just all of these really cool homes that just didn't look like anything else. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to live in something that was perfectly unique. And, we lived in suburbia, right? So a neighborhood with an HOA, which has its, its pros and, sometimes its cons, everyone has a different, perspective of that. And I loved it. I love raising my kids there, and they could, there were other kids in the neighborhood. But our house, looked similar to the other houses in the neighborhood. And so for me, I think it started with wanting to build something that was very unique. And then, of course, just my love of trees, right? And that's kind of where the sustainability side of, what I'm passionate about kind of stemmed from. Is I want to protect as many trees as I can. I think they're really important. So if I'm going to build a home, I wanted to build one that had as little usage, the tree usage, I guess, as possible. So we started looking into really different types of sustainable homes, and container homes were always something that I was really attracted to. It was so super fascinating to me. So luckily there's a builder local to us that just does container structures, right? So residential and commercial. And he was the showcase builder at our local home show in Indianapolis 2.5 years ago now. And so I told my husband, hey, let's go, to the home show. I want to see the centerpiece home. And he's like, okay, sure. And we knew at that point we still, had all the kids at home, and, we've owned the property that we live on now. Now it's been about 5.5 years. So it's probably, 3-ish years that we had owned it. And we knew that we would move down here eventually when the kids got older and moved out. And so we went to the home show, just, looking that one day, wouldn't that be super cool to, live on the property that we own? And so we walked through the container home that he had built as the centerpiece home. And we got done, and the builder was, in front of the house, right? And so we met him, and my husband was completely clueless. I went there with a plan. He had no idea. So we met the builder, and I'm like, hi, Mike, I'm Susan, this is my husband. And, we've got this property in Brown County, and we want to build a house on it. And he was like, oh, that's super cool. I'd love to come see it. And so we had this 20-minute conversation, and we walked away. And my husband's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, wouldn't it be cool to build a container house? And he was like, I mean, maybe, but can we talk about this? So eventually what happened is I convinced him, and here we are. So we started working with that builder, to develop our plans, and, the kids moved out, and, just everything from a timing standpoint just kind of worked. And here we are building it now.
Cool. Can you tell us like this kind of specs about it a little bit? Like how big is it? Like also if you're sharing kind of rough estimate cost, like I don't even know anything about building a container home or anything. I just mostly see people on YouTube doing it themselves. And so I don't think you guys are doing it yourself, right? Like you hired someone to do it.
Yes. Oh no, we are not the do-it-yourself kind of people. No, we are the hire it out kind of people. So yes, our builder is doing everything. There is a lot of work living on site as we're building, which I didn't realize. But as far as the specs of the house goes, it's 6 containers on a walkout, poured concrete basement, right? So total square footage is right around 3,000 square feet. Roughly 2,000 of that is containers, and then roughly 1,000, is the basement. So we configured them. We essentially what we did is we met with the builder the first time, and we said we've got this property. It's perfect for a walkout basement. So there's a pretty steep ravine with a creek that runs through the bottom of the property, and then it goes back up the other side. And so we said we'd love to do a house with a walkout basement that overlooks the creek and the ravine and all of the trees. And they drew up, on the basement. So they drew up the basement and the container layout. So there are 4 containers for the first floor, and then 2 containers for the second floor. So essentially that the second floor has a rooftop deck. So our offices will be on that second, or I guess third floor if you're counting the basement. So we walk out of our offices to a rooftop deck that overlooks the property. And so that's actually one of the things that sold my husband on a container home, was having the rooftop deck. He was like, well, I guess that would be really cool. So so that's, it's 3 bedrooms, 2 full and 3 half bathrooms for the 2 of us. So, but the builder's been great. So he just kind of took our vision, and we really didn't make many changes to the layout once we told him, this is what we want. He's done a great job in, making the house fit, our vision of what we would like.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Is it like what sustainable features will it have, if any?
So really, we don't have solar yet. That's something that we've talked about. So not many when we build. I'm going to be really honest. Like it's mostly just the container side of it. Solar is definitely something that we want to do. So we've got great south facing. It faces the south, so we've got a lot of sun exposure. So we've talked about doing some solar, but that's not right away. We'll just kind of build it as a, normal house connected to all the utilities. Price, you would ask price too. So I think all in all, $750, I think was the total price. So my husband calls it the most expensive modular home ever built. So I think anything not built on site is modular, right? But there's a lot of really cool features that we're able to add, with floor to ceiling windows and the rooftop decks and all of that. So.
Yeah. And it is being built off site and kind of just assembled on your property, right? Like that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah. So the builder has a warehouse, I guess, in the northern part of the state. And so they did a lot of the container build out off site. So, they cut out all of the steel, and they did all of the, like the framing of the rooms and some of the drywall, not a ton of it, but some of that. And then they shipped the containers down here, and they put it on the basement. And they're just finishing, like right now they're putting windows in. Yay, we have windows now. So they're, putting the windows in and the doors in, and then they'll do the interior finishings. Like the cabinets are there, but they're not installed yet. They'll do tile work and flooring and all of that as it's finished here. So it is, it's kind of off site, and then part of it's on site. The goal was for them to be here about a month and finish building in about a month, but we're a month already and we're just getting windows. So we're a little bit behind the gun on, on how all of that's working out. But there have been some challenges with building a container home that we really weren't expecting. The permitting was amazing. It was just an amazing process. I'd love to do it 10 more times. Getting our county, we told them what kind of home we're building. They're like, I don't even know what to do with this. So that part took some time. We had to get, and this is something I really didn't know, but we had to get like approved or I guess put ourselves on file with the Department of Homeland Security because we're building a steel and concrete structure. I didn't know that either, but so now apparently we have a file with the Department of Homeland Security. So
Susan.
apparently we passed though, because they've not come to stop us. So, but our builder took care of all of that. We really didn't, he had to submit everything that he was doing because it's a steel and concrete structure. So, there are just some of those things that you don't know about or think about. Yeah, that was my face too, Keith. Like, what?
That is so interesting.
Yeah. So, it's taken a lot longer than, we probably could have built a stick built a lot sooner. Our builder said 6 to 9 months when we, originally met with him and agreed. We are month 19 now. So it's, it's just extra time that, for things like, permitting and Department of Homeland Security and, our windows, when our windows came in, they were delayed, back ordered, which is, fine. But when they came in, they were the windows that had something extra around them that they needed if it was a stick built house. And we don't need that, whatever that, lip was, because it's not a stick built house. So now all of the windows as they're being installed have to be modified to fit the containers. So, that's taking extra time. And so it's a lot of that kind of stuff it has drawn out that the process. But overall, I know it will be worth it. So,
we're all coming for the housewarming party. So
yes, you definitely need to come and take a walk around it. I'm excited to and we're living on site as they're building. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. we thought 6 to 9 months. Like we sold our big, the big house that we sold that we grew, the kids grew up in, we sold that. Like, we don't want to do a double move. It's going to be, 6 to 9 months, we're just going to live on site. And so it's fine. We'll just deal. And now we're like, I can't deal any longer.
Are you like in an RV or something? Is that how you're living on there?
Yes. We bought the largest one that we could find. And I'm not joking. Like, that was the criteria. Like, it had to have a bathroom and a half. And it had to be the largest one that we could find. So we bought it. And we bought a brand new one. And then it was right after COVID, right? Because we've been in this process for a long time now. And then the prices for RVs have just gone like this. So again, we have the most expensive RV, we will never get our money back out of this thing. But yes, we're living here on site while they're building. And so it's cool to every night when they leave, go now that they're on site, be able to walk around and go, oh, look, the windows, and, they framed this, thing in the basement, this room in the basement, and look at the laundry room now, and look at this. And so it's really cool, but it's also a mess. We are living in a construction zone. I'm looking right outside my window at all of our Trex decking that's just right there. And, so it's laying in the yard. So yeah, it's a challenge, but it'll, again, going to be amazing.
Yeah, I was gonna say you do a lot of digital meetings, so I can't even imagine having construction happening in the background constantly while you're trying to talk on this. If my cats meow, I'm annoyed, so I can't even imagine hammers and stuff.
Yeah, the basement was when we had the concrete trucks here. We had several days of concrete trucks, just lined up our driveway, and so it was super loud. But yeah, other than that, it actually hasn't been too bad. So yeah.
So question, so when you talk about the windows, are those the cutouts do they do that at their manufacturing facility or on site?
No, they cut out for the windows and the doors off site. So in the big warehouse that they have. So, and they had actually pushed all 6 containers together. So we were able to walk through the cutout, containers when they were offsite in that warehouse. So they did all of that offsite, and then again, kind of did the framing of the different rooms and some of the drywall work, and then shipped them down.
So yeah, there's a group here in Florida that I've worked with this guy. He's got a facility up about an hour away from we are, and all he does is build container homes. He's invited me next month to go see the process. So when they do the insulation, the drywall work, so we're looking at, the container. It looks like this, right? So when you put the drywall up, what type of insulation goes between the drywall and the actual steel, or is there any?
Yeah, no insulation. No, I'm just joking. Yes, there is. It's a closed cell insulation, I believe is what he said. So it's sprayed on. And then they put the drywall on top of that. So there's the container, there's the closed cell insulation, and then there's the drywall.
Okay.
Yeah. The ceiling, though, we asked them to leave all of the exposed metal that they could. Based on the design that we chose, there wasn't a lot that they could leave. I think we have like 1/2 wall somewhere, that's the exposed container, but the ceilings are the exposed container. So we do have like the waffle, right, ceiling. So our cabinets will have, like cutout, right, to kind of match that wavy ceiling of the metal ceiling. So I think it looks cool. I wanted more of that exposed metal, but just with the layout, there wasn't a ton for us to leave. So most of it inside is the standard, drywall and everything like that.
Cool. We have one container home here in Delray Beach where I live, and I've shown it twice. It's been for sale twice. They got the same price on the resale as other homes in the neighborhood that are block. We do CBS, concrete block here. So I was very impressed to see that the resale value was there. And I got to know the owner, and their process going through getting permits in the city also was, instead of 4 to 6 weeks, I think it was 3 to 4 months to get their permits because they didn't know what to do.
Yep.
But so if I do the math correctly, you said about 3,000 square feet of container at your price. So that's about $250 a square foot, right?
Well, it's the containers and the basement. So that's all in.
That's all in. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
but
go ahead.
No, but yes. So 3,000 square feet total.
Okay. So were you able to do a cost comparison of that versus just a regular home, or do you think that there was a saving at all, or what?
No, I don't think there was a savings.
None at all.
No, I really don't. I know that there wasn't. No.
Okay.
We didn't personally do it for the cost savings. We did it for the sustainability side, right? So we live not quite Tornado Alley, but there's still a lot of tornadoes, right? So the wind and the fire, right? We live in the middle of 200 acres of forest, essentially. So, just fires and wind and all of that. And then again, just my love of trees and not wanting to cut down as many as any more than I had to.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
That was going to be my next question. And I'm going to start asking this question for everyone that comes to guest. I don't know why I haven't asked it before, but like climate challenges that you experience living where you're living. Because I was like, you're in Indiana, right?
Yeah.
So I was like tornadoes, and I've been pretty obsessed with weather lately. I'm kind of a weather nerd, and so I track tornadoes and stuff. And so I was like, I'm pretty sure you get tornadoes. And so are container homes more protected against tornadoes then? Is that how that works?
Yes, that is my understanding. I am not a structural engineer. Let me just put it that way, right? But if I'm going to be in a tornado, do I want stick built or do I want a steel, structure? I'll choose steel. I think I'm better over there. But I don't know why tornadoes have always freaked me out. I mean, any kind of storm that we had, and we didn't have a basement in the other house that, we raised the kids in. And so, I mean, any storm, I was just like, oh my gosh. So super excited for a basement personally. And then just, being able to have that additional peace of mind, for my craziness around the weather. But yeah, so tornadoes and then fire, I think, are the kind of the two things that when I think about it, it makes me feel, a lot better. So actually, funny story, our builder had built another container home for a different client. And he had a rooftop deck also, and he set his grill on fire, grilling on the rooftop deck, which then like the grill knocked over and like fell over, and like it could have just been a horrible disaster. And it did nothing to his container home. So he had like a little scorch mark, on his, whatever decking that he had. But so I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. That makes me feel better. So, yeah.
Do you get hail very much?
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes. So, I mean, obviously, steel might have some dings in it. Rust, is the other thing that we'll have to just make sure it's, of course, painted. And, there's still going to be exterior maintenance, and no matter what kind of home that you have. So we'll have to make sure that, yes, like the rust and, any kind of dings like that, those are, if it does hail and it's a large amount, large hail, then we'll have to go and do the inspection and make sure that, anything's fixed like that. So there are, pros and cons, I think, no matter what kind of home that you buy.
Yeah, it's just different. I'm like, oh, like what happens if a hailstorm comes through? How do you fix hail dings on a steel structure? Like, I don't know. And I don't even know if it would have to be probably a pretty hefty hailstorm for it to cause damage, I think. Like pretty.
I think so. Yeah, I've seen the thickness of the containers, and I think it would have to be something pretty significant to truly dent it. I mean, I'm sure it's possible, but it would have to be pretty large, I would assume. But yeah, there's still the rust, and we don't have. It's not I don't even know what kind of roof, so don't even ask me. I don't know. But there is a different type of roof system. But we don't have to worry about shingles or anything like that. It's not the standard roof. But I don't know what kind they're putting on it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be a Tesla roof. You never know.
Yeah. I guess I'm pretty trusting. I don't know. I mean, my husband and I are like, well, we're either like trusting or are we like not smart for doing this? I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out.
I think it's fun. I love it.
How many homes has your container home builder done?
I think we're like number 11, something like that. So not many. Yeah.
So then has the inspection process with the city or county been like deer in the headlight? It looks like, how do we inspect this for making sure it's, you know what I mean? How's that process?
So, most of the inspections we've had so far have been off-site. We actually have one next week on-site. So I guess we'll find out when he's here or she's here next week, how that will go. But so far we've passed every inspection. Yay. Mm-hmm. But I don't, I do know something about the inspection. So it is because it's considered modular. It's the same type of inspector that inspects like the RVs, right? Or any other like type of modular home. So, and we live in an RV right now, and I can tell you that I'm not worried about the inspection for our house. So I think our house will be just fine. But yeah, it is kind of funny that it's a different type of inspector for a modular property than it is for a stick build. So
interesting.
I know. We've learned so much.
So when I remember a couple of weeks ago, you showed us kind of how they were being laid on top of each other. So what type of anchoring system do they have that goes into the foundation? Is it, I mean, I'm thinking of hooks and things.
So to the foundation, I'm not sure, honestly. I know that it's all welded together. There are steel beams that go across the basement. Before the containers were laid, there were these huge steel beams that span the length of the basement. How they're attached to the basement, I don't really know, actually. Again, am I trusting or should I be asking more questions of our builder? I don't know.
Right.
I'm sure my husband would know, but.
So did you do you did what, one on top of each other, or did you actually have 2 or 3 stories of any of these at all?
So we did. So we have the walkout basement, and then we have 4 containers on top of that, and then we have 2 containers on top of the 4, and then that's what gives us the rooftop deck right off of that, 3rd level, I guess, if you would. We're actually then we're supporting and kind of building out an additional rooftop deck for the top. story. We're not going to put the railing around it. We're not going to do the metal staircase. We had a spiral metal staircase that we were going to then install to get to the top deck. But it was quite expensive. It was, I don't know, $30,000 or $40,000. And we're like, that's all right. We'll do that later if we want to do that later. So, but we are reinforcing that top story so that we could add a second tier rooftop deck if we wanted to. But we have the walkout basement, that's outdoor space that we'll finish. And then we'll have the rooftop deck that's right off of that second story. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. Good job.
I just need to pull up what we're talking about. This is the picture that she sent us a few weeks ago. It's probably way different looking now, but
no, it actually, other than windows, it pretty much looks the same.
Yeah,
not joking. But yeah, so we've got the walkout basement, and so we'll have that that outdoor space, and then the rooftop deck again on top of that, the first level of containers. So if you look at the top story, the two corners, there's, two windows and then two windows. Those are our two offices. And then the big opening in the middle, that's the door that goes out onto that rooftop deck.
That is cool. So cool.
Love that.
Thank you. It's I'm super excited to move in. Like, I can't even tell you. I
bet. And sell that RV.
And yes. Or burn it or whatever, throw it in the ravine. I don't care at this point. I don't care what happens to it. But I want to do the fun stuff, right? Like I want to decorate and get our furniture in. We ordered furniture like in February. We thought we'd be moving in May, like for sure. Like I actually thought March at one point. We're like, we could probably be in by March. Now we're hoping August. But we ordered furniture like in February, and it's been sitting at the furniture store for 5 months now, whatever that is. And I'm afraid they're going to call us and be like, come get your furniture, or we're going to put it back. We don't have a place for it yet.
That's funny. Yeah, no, totally. I can't even imagine. Like I know a lot of people that like live in RVs full time by choice because it's like their vibe and whatever. But if it's not really your vibe, I see that could go real quick.
If we were traveling, like that would be different. But it's here, and again, and it's not. I mean, it's huge, so it's not something that we could really pull or have any desire to pull anywhere. But yeah, we're ready to have some space. So where I can't tell my husband.
Are you at least hooked up to sewer or something already with your RV?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yes, yeah. So the property had city water, electric, a septic on it when we purchased it. We have a new septic for the house that's down the hill. But yes, we have all of that. So we're not quite roughing it. That's but it's just a small space, and we work from home, and so it's the small cramped space. And working from home, it can be amazing. It can be amazing.
You're so positive. I love that, Susan. Good for you.
I've got a good husband that is, so he's 6'3" and slightly claustrophobic. And I don't know how I convinced him to do this. Like sell the house, move to an RV, build a container home. I have no idea, but he's just gone along with it the whole way and rarely complains. So that helps.
He loves you. He loves you.
He has to, because living in an RV, to tell you what, if he didn't, like, we would have known really quickly.
I love it.
Are you having, so you're built on on a hill, so are you going to have any water like runoff or capture or anything like that with this?
We will, yeah. So we've actually talked about the gutter system and getting it into water containment systems so that we can use it for gardening and whatever else we would want to use it for. So we also have so on either side of the property or of the house, actually, there are two other ravines that kind of go into the big one that the house overlooks. And so my husband ultimately would love a pond. So he's talked about, at some point doing something with water runoff to, direct that into making a pond. I'm not as keen on that as he is, but it's fine. I'm sure he'll talk me into it. But yeah, so we will capture that water and, use it for probably just like the gardening and and that kind of stuff, since we are connected to city water.
Nice.
I know we're just shooting questions at you, like, Darth.
You're fine.
Bam. What about, so the developer himself, his company, does he, so the whole sustainability thing, right? So container homes are technically considered sustainable for lots of reasons, but was he able to, or was he also sustainably minded beyond just the container home to give you ideas on, hey, I've done 10 or 11 of these things. This is what some homeowners do to help fulfill some of that sustainability need. Was there any creativity with that?
Not really. Most of what he's built have been smaller, like Airbnbs. So, you know, 1 or 2 containers. There have been a couple. So there's 2 of them in downtown Indianapolis that he's built that were multi-level, and, you know, the bigger ones. To my knowledge, we walked through one of them before we decided to go down this route. And I didn't see anything, you know, of those sustainable features in that property. That wasn't a conversation that we had. I would love for, as we, and again, because we're kind of, we feel like even though we have a builder, we feel like we're kind of figuring this out as we go along. And as we kind of figure out, like, okay, now the solar and, you know, anything else that we might want to do from a sustainable, you know, capacity, anything with water, to be able to, you know, kind of pass that along. And he did say where we live is, and it's for Indiana, it might, if you're not from Indiana, it might sound funny, but where we live is, I guess, like touristy, I guess, right? So there's a big state park about 15 minutes from us, and it's because of the hills and everything. Most of Indiana is very flat, right? Until you get like an hour south of Indianapolis. So southern Indiana is very hilly, and, you know, has a lot of the features that the flat part of Indiana doesn't. And so since we live in the hilly side, right, there is a lot of, you know, people from the flat part that come to the hilly part, right? Let's just put it like that. So, you know, this is kind of a getaway space, right, for a lot of the Indiana people who live on the flat side. So he said our builders had a lot of interest in what he's doing here in the county that we live in, Brown County, to, you know, do more of, you know, the container buildings. So hopefully we'll be able to put some of those sustainable features into the property and kind of figure that out as we go along. And then that will be something that we can show others.
I would imagine that somebody, whether it's you or the city or someone's like maybe the local news station, is catching wind of this and kind of feature that, because that 6 containers, that's, I think I've told you, I was from Costa Rica and I saw 2 or 3 container homes being built, a lot.
Yeah.
But 6, that's a big undertaking. So I'm sure you can get a lot of marketing mileage from this thing.
Yeah, I don't know. We've not had anything yet, but funny story. Funny for you, not so much for us. We've got the combo washer dryer unit, right, in our RV. And then there was a leak in it, and it's somewhere underneath the RV. And my husband's like, we're almost gonna be moving in. Like, I'm not even gonna deal with it. So we're going to a laundromat now, which I've never gone to a laundromat until recently, but it's amazing. Also, amazing process. So as we've been at the laundromat, people are very talkative as they're waiting for their laundry to wash or dry, we've learned. And so we've had a lot of people saying, you know, oh, are you visiting? You know, do you live here? Whatever. And we're like, oh, we're building a house. We're living in an RV right now. And they're like, that is super cool. So there's a lot of talk at the local laundromat.
Oh my gosh.
Town celebrity over here.
I tell you, I never thought ever like I would be doing what we're doing. Like, I really didn't. But again, the end result, I think, is going to be so cool. I'm excited about living again in kind of my dream of, like, I want to live in some place that doesn't look like everyone else's house. So I'm really excited about that. And I know that this journey, you know, we'll look back and be like, oh my gosh, we really did that.
I love it. Was there other kinds of alternative homes that you considered other than container homes? Was anything else? Like, what's number 2 on your list? If you wouldn't have done container home, what would you have done?
Oh my gosh. I would love to do one of the concrete that is like printed, like the printed concrete, right?
3D printing.
3D, thank you. 3D printing. I've seen those and those look so cool.
Standing.
I
Yeah.
mean, oh my gosh. And when I first kind of started seeing them, pop up, we were already going down this path, but I was like, oh my gosh, like part of me wanted to be like, stop, I want to do a 3D printed house.
Yeah.
Yeah, about that. I'm working with a group actually who's going to build 77 3D printed houses in an area. They're going to be able to deliver a completed home within like 30 days.
Oh my goodness.
Unbelievable.
Okay. So my 19 months now is like,
Oh my God.
I know. I was going to say that, but I didn't want to rub it in. I was like, they go really fast.
There's that one group out of Austin. They've already built 100 with Lennar Homes, did the roofing, but their name is Icon 3D printed. I actually invested in their private offering about 2 years ago. And they did a 100 home 3D printed community now that is fully sold out.
wow.
Yeah. I've been following that for about 2 or 3 years on the news. So it's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we just
I would love
submitted this project to the EPA. They just were funded some distributed, I guess, to various green banks and such, about $13 billion. And we're in the first tranche of EPA approving or reviewing this opportunity. So we're hoping that they'll accept the deal and finance it.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, that's darn it. No, I would love to be able to do something like that. That would be awesome. Maybe a second house, right?
And this is right outside. I don't know if you know the company Daikin. They're one of the largest manufacturers of HVAC equipment. They've got this mega factory in Waller, and they have all their employees traveling in to work there, going 30, 45 minutes. So these homes are really needed, and they'll probably sell out. Well, they're not going to sell out because they're going to own all 77 and lease them out. And so it's kind of a build to rent 3D home community.
Wow. So neat. I love that. But yeah, I love that, just seeing different types of sustainable homes being developed and built. And, again, we have 4 kids, right? And so one of our kids, he's getting married in December, actually, and they're looking for their first house right now. And I'm looking at their price point of like 220, is kind of their max of where they want to be. And it's super hard to find anything. And remembering, my first house was $85,000, and I'm like, my goodness, he's starting at 220 as a starter house. And I'm in the industry, like I get it. I know I've seen everything, but it's still kind of like, wow, that's amazing to be able to give the homes. And I don't know the price difference. I mean, I've not looked into that, but if we can even just give more inventory for especially in our first time home buyers, I know that they're struggling in a lot of markets to find anything. So
Maybe a boxable home. Buy some cheap land and get a boxable home.
Right.
Yeah.
I did tell them, I said, we have this, we call it the upper loop. So it's like an acre or something that has a trail around it, and it's pretty flat. And I said, you could build a house on that upper loop. And they said, no, thanks. Okay. I won't take it personally that you don't want to live down here, but we are pretty far from, where they work. But, trying to help out. Right.
Yeah. One more question I had was, how does insurance work with this? Like, are insurance companies any different, like, to insure a container home?
That was also a challenge. We did find a standard insurance company. It's actually State Farm that is insuring the property. So it's not quite done yet. So I guess we'll see how it all turns out when it's done. But they said they could do it. So here, fingers crossed. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, we did, I don't know how many phone calls to different companies saying this is what we're building. And they're like, what are you building? Like the amount of people that when we say container homes, they have zero idea what we're talking about. I mean, literally zero idea. So we have to explain it, shipping containers, but it's on a walkout basement and here's what it is and here's the size, and, well, let me check, with our underwriters. I don't know. So we went through, I don't know how many insurance companies before we did find someone that said, yes, we will insure it. So yeah, so it's, all of the things that just kind of add up to 19 months and counting.
19 months and counting. That's so amazing to me that still, even this day, that the container homes as a concept is still so foreign for the consumers.
It is.
I mean,
The same thing, yeah.
no, we're not mass producing them, so I get that. And in major cities, no, it's not going to happen probably for a little while. But container homes have been around for what, 25 years for the most part?
Yeah, probably. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're a cutting edge rock star. That's all I can say.
There we go. I'll take it. I will take that title, John. And I'll tell my husband.
That's right. That's right. So your husband's 6'3". What are the were you able to go? I'm just thinking of your picture in the back two. Are those also one level, or do you take the roof off and go two?
No, we did one level. So they're the high cube containers. So they're just right at 9 feet, or just barely under 9 feet. I think our ceiling height will be that. But because of the floor plan and we wanted the rooftop deck, we don't have any open. I would love that. Like, how cool would that be? But I wanted the rooftop deck like that. And that was the selling feature for my husband. So we kind of had to have it. But yeah, so they're not like short 8 feet ceilings, but they're not, 10 or 12 feet. In the basement we do have very tall, ceilings in the basement that will finish, but the containers are just right around 9 feet.
That's plenty of space. That's plenty of space.
He can even jump up and down if he wants. It's fine. He won't hit his head.
Yeah. Mine's only 8 feet. Heck.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. Well, this was a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know how many more questions I have to come out, but this was very informative and very exciting. And gosh, I wish you and your family so much fun and success in this thing.
Thank you.
Do you like Dom Perignon, or what type of champagne should we bring?
Yeah, right. I'll take grape juice. I don't care. Like, I don't care what I'm eating or drinking. But no, thank you guys. Thank you for having me. Katie, thank you for the invite. It was fun just to talk about it. And, our friends, of course, and family know about it, but it was fun to kind of share what we're doing. And thank you. I appreciate the invite.
I bet, and I'm just going to say, I had a personal say, when I lived in Costa Rica for 13 years, I had friends and people I didn't know. They said, "You are doing what? You're going to live in the jungle? Why?" I'm like, I just wanted to do something different. I wanted to kind of I'm not mainstream type of thinker. I kind of think out of the box. I want to go somewhere and do something different. And after 13 years, to this day, I've been back in the States now for 8 years. And anytime I get in this conversation where I talk about that project, in your project for you, it's just such a wonderful memory that you have, that you went through something that most people would think you're nuts. And you are nuts, by the way, but good for you.
Thank you. I agree. I agree.
Awesome.
I agree. Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Yeah, I didn't get to participate that much, but it was a great story. I love hearing it. And I was just checking off the marks from when we did our SIPs, our structurally insulated panel construction here. They had never seen one, going through the permitting process, the whole and it dragging out. I'm just like, check. I feel your pain. So
right.
Hang in there. It's worth
it. Yes, that's the one thing I would tell anyone that's looking at, doing this. And I do, like, I joke, like, I hope it's worth it. I know it's worth it. Like, it's on site. We're able to walk through it. I absolutely love it. But it will take longer, again, permitting and all of that, than probably what you think. But, and again, we're in real estate. So it's kind of funny that we actually thought 6 to 9 months, like nothing else. When you build something, it never takes what the builder tells you. So I don't know. We lost our combined 50 years in real estate, experience when he said 6 to 9 months. We're like, oh, okay.
Okay.
So
2.5x.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Okay. So, well, I'll send you guys pictures as it's getting done. And if you're ever in Indiana, come see us.
Oh, I will. I will.
All right,
You
sounds
betcha.
good.
Packed will be packed.
Susan, that was very informative. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Tim. It was nice to meet you.
Glad you came.
Thanks,
And thank you,
everyone.
Susan, for being here. This was awesome. And this is recorded, so it's going to be put up on YouTube. So if you guys want to, listen to it again, it'll be up there. And then next week, we'll see you same place, same time. And it was great to see everyone.
Thanks, Susan.
Thumbs
Thanks.
up.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.